Hello there, good afternoon and welcome to The Pulse. We are coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. We're also on your digital terrestrial TV because we are free to air. You can catch us live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 144. This is Joy News, independent, fearless and credible journalism. Coming up this afternoon, basic schools across the country beginning to feel the pinch of the absence of their teachers 24 hours after teachers withdrew their services in protest of government's failure to pay up their cost of living allowances. We'll also focus on this. It's been another rainy day in Accra. We'll touch base with our reporters who have been engaging some residents and many of them have been cut off their homes as a result of this morning's downpour. We'll bring you the latest. Meanwhile, a conservation group, eco-conscious citizens, are calling on government to come up with a policy that may lead to the ban on the use of plastics across the country. We'll engage the leadership of the group right here on The Pulse. I am Blessed Sogah. The Pulse, as always, is brought to you by Global Communities, Digny, Low, Affordable, Safe Sanitation. This afternoon, don't forget as well that we're streaming live on YouTube and all of our social media handles. It's at JoyNews on TV, Twitter and us with the hashtag The Pulse. My personal handle is at Blessed Sogah. Always a pleasure serving you here on The Pulse. Please stay. Well, so it's been 24 hours since teachers across the country withdrew their services in protest of government's failure to pay up their cost of living allowances. JoyNews checks reveal pupils at some of the basic schools here in Accra are already feeling the pinch of the absence of their teachers. Some of them were spotted loitering around their school premises, while others formed some reading groups to while away some time. JoyNews' Tasha Michelle has been engaging some of these pupils here in Accra New Town, Experimental 2, and also the Ejaveng Memorial School here in the capital.
I want the government to pay our teachers so that they can teach us.
The teachers are on strikes. I want the teachers to teach us so that we can be happy. We didn't know that the teachers are on strikes.
Well, so we're reliably informed that the Education Ministry, as we speak, is currently engaging with teachers to reach an agreement. But while we wait for the outcome of that meeting, the teachers have made it clear that they will only return to the classrooms if government pays them their 20% in terms of the basic salary as cost of living allowance. Mark Crunchy is the General Secretary of the Teachers Educational Workers Union.
This concern now. We have always talked about this salary disparity among public sector workers. How can it be that some section of the public sector workers got last year and this year more than 45% and others are getting 4 and 7%? It is unheard of. And therefore we have called, and it is not today that we are calling for the review of the single spine pay structure. It has to be reviewed, and it has to be reviewed immediately. Now, the meeting on Friday, we saw it as an attempt to water down the request, because that is what government will always do. They will call for a meeting, and they will say, because we are engaging, you don't have a right to embark on a strike action. We saw far in advance this move, but we think that it is time, because we have waited for too long. Some of us started calling for this COLA way back in February 2022. Before May Day, we issued a statement, and all this while, no single invitation came forth. And that is why we think that we have gotten to our wits' end, and therefore we must make this declaration. As for the IMF and its what we call it, ramifications and conditionalities, that is not what we are looking for. There is already a lot of mismanagement in the system, which when corrected, there will not be any need for the country to go for IMF bailout.
Well, Martina Bulgray has been also checking the situation up north. Let's cross over to her now as she joins us via phone. Martina, from where you are, what can you report in terms of the effect of this industrial action? Martina, if you can hear me, I'm just asking about the effect of today's industrial action. It was declared yesterday. At least we know that it's taking effect today.
It's been very severe in the Tamale metropolis because the schools, by 10 o'clock, all the schools that I had visited were under lock and key. The only people you would find is either the security man or passers-by. And on some campuses, it was very quiet. All you could hear was the chirping of birds. So literally today, most children who came to school had to go back home early. It was totally complied. Most of the schools complied. No single school did I visit that the teachers were there. The children were left to their fate. You either stay on campus or you go home. And so literally most of them went home, just a few. But by 10 o'clock, when I went back to most of these schools, it was empty.
And yesterday as well, that directive came through from the ministry, or at least the Ghana Education Service, indicating that the schools were not going to be shut down. Have you engaged some of the officials up north on what measures are being put in place to at least ensure the safety of these students who are still on campus?
What they said was that they had anticipated they would go on strike, and so some knew that they were not supposed to come to school. But those who didn't know and came, they were there to tell them to go home. And once they had done that in the morning, they didn't really stay to see what will happen next.
But then, are there any clear guidelines as to what parents can do, or perhaps what the Ghana Education Service, in terms of the modalities they're putting in place to ensure order on campus? At least the teachers are not there, which means that the students are being left to their fate.
Now, what they are saying is you don't have to even come to school. So the few parents I have spoken to said that once they know that their teachers will be on strike, all they would need to do is just pay attention to news and other items that would come on air to be able to tell when the strike will be over. At least now they know that there's a strike action and there's nobody on campus to take care of their children.
And for the community where you are, how many are you able to tell in terms of the impact on students? How many schools perhaps have been affected as a result of this?
Tamale Metropolis is one of the biggest metropolis in the country, and so you can have up to 300 schools, public schools in the metropolis, and all these schools are currently at peak. Nobody's in school.
Wow. How about the municipal and local authorities? Because we know that some of these schools that we're talking about now fall within their purview or control. Have you heard from any of the district officials, be it the chief executive or perhaps the mayor of the area?
We try to get in touch with the Tamale Metro education director. We are told that has been transferred, and the next person is yet to take over. That's the understanding I have, and so you are unable to speak to anybody at the education office. But literally, once it's a nationwide issue, the teachers are looking up. The leadership say that we would be on strike, they would comply, and they would not listen to any suggestion or any other directive that would come unless their national executive gives the direction.
And what more are we finding out in terms of the reactions from the parents as well? Obviously, they should be concerned about this.
Parents are disappointed. It has to get to this stage where teachers would have to go home. They think that already they do not have enough time to teach. And so it's already impacting negatively on their wards, and they would have to go and sit home again, not knowing when they would go back to school. They think that government so that they can go back to school. Now, what parents said, they came, the first week was literally for cleaning, the second week, and then just when they the various zonals they have done to the final the regional level, they have to go home. And so literally, he says that his ward, he believes, has learned nothing. And so they should begin to talk, address the concerns, and get the teachers back to class.
Anyway, I'm grateful, Martina. Let's speak to Nanaya Ojima, who's also been monitoring the situation for us. Nanaya, what bring us up to speed with what's happening where you are? How much of an effect has it been on not just the schools, but also parents as well? They would have to deal or find a way of keeping the students or the pupils learning at least. And what more are you gathering from the area where you are?
So, Blessed, at the moment, I just finished my tour to some of the schools in the Oporikum municipality, and at 2 p.m., all the schools within the municipality had to close down. Had to close because that is the normal closing time for schools in the municipality. Now, it is uncertain if tomorrow these students will come to school because now the decision lies in the parents and their wards whether they will come or not. Because as for the head teachers, they tell me that they've been instructed to keep the classrooms open. So tomorrow the head teachers will be there to ensure that these classrooms are opened, and if any students should come in, they will also ensure that these students are protected. But some of the parents are very not happy with the current situation because they had made their plans for the week, and that do not include their wards staying in the house. So it means that they will have to find a safe place to keep their wards as they go about their duties. So that will be a major challenge to many of the parents in the municipality or in Kumasi in general. And parents with their wards at the second cycle level are not happy because of the double track system. Some of these parents had their wards home home. They just resumed it's been about 4 weeks since these wards resumed school, and now they would have to come back home, or they will have to stay in school and do nothing in terms of academic work because of the present situation. So most of the parents believe that this is going to reduce the contact hours that their wards will have with the teachers, because very soon they have their wards in the second and third year who will very soon be sitting for the WASI and other examinations. So they would need teachers in school to help their wards, but unfortunately, due to the present order, they will lose the contact hours that they were expecting. So parents believe that it will have a toll on the education of their wards. And a lot of the parents, I must say, do not have, they are not expecting these teachers to be back soon because according to the parents, we all know the present economic condition of the country and the situation that the government finds themselves in. So it will be difficult for the government to fulfill the demands of these teachers. So they are expecting a very long strike period. Some of them are thinking of moving their wards from the public schools to the private schools for them to have some for their education to continue.
Were you able to get up close with any of the Ghana Education Service officials, at least, to see if there will be a response? We know that obviously there's a meeting underway, but any official response yet?
So within the Atokwa municipality, I tried to speak to the education officials within the area, but they tell me that since nationwide strike and it affects the whole of the country, they're expecting the Ghana Education Service to be the official mouthpiece as regards to issues on this strike action. So they directed me to go to the national level and seek whatever clarification that I will need. For them at the the district level, the regional level, they take instructions from their superiors. So whatever instruction that is handed over to them, they will ensure that they carry through. For instance, they were supposed to open the schools today for academic activities, and that is what they follow through. So they will continue to go by the directive that is issued at the national level. For them, they do not have anything to say yet.
Anyway, would have to leave it here. Nana Ojima bringing us up to speed with what's happening there in the Ashanti region. We're still keeping our eyes on the industrial action by the coalition of teacher unions. Until government pays the cost of living allowances, all of these teachers may not return to the classroom. That's the indication we're getting. We'll bring you some details later on. But let's also, first of all, check out what's happening up north once more. Ilyasu Tanko is joining us. Ilyasu, bring us up to speed with the latest where you are. Ilyasu,
well,
if you can, yes, right, precisely.
Yes,
just
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, just as what is witnessed across the country, the same thing happening in the northeast region. This morning, the children went to school with the usual anticipation of having their routine academic activities. Unfortunately, when they got to the schools today, they were greeted with empty classrooms as their teachers. And so the children had the day all to themselves, playing outside their classrooms. I visited a number of schools in the regional capital, America here, and some of the schools, actually, the teachers didn't come to school at all, didn't report at all, but the others, that the teachers only come to give information or to tell the children to go back home because of the limited access of telecommunication. Most of the children didn't hear the news yesterday that their teachers had declared strike, and so they came to school today. So some of the teachers actually went to school basically to ask the children to go back home. And in a number of schools that I visited, including the Gambaga Girls Senior High School, where I met with officials, they told me that the strike action was in full force in the school. They also assured that they were going to ensure the safety and protection of the students who are in campus. The headmistress that I met told me that for now they haven't gotten any permission from the students to go home, and that's when they begin to get that particular request from the school. They will put measures to ensure that the students stay, and so that's what is happening. I also visited the office of the National Teachers Association, their branch in here. The officials were not there to comment, but my sources at the office told me that they have appointed monitoring supervisors to go around the school to ensure compliance by their members.
All right then. Ilyasu Tanko, Northeast region, that's the picture, particularly of what's happening on campus now. Let's get to the Volta region. Ivy Setoji is there for us. Ivy, was the situation any different from what we're hearing from all the northern parts and parts of the Ashanti region as well? What can you tell us?
No, at all. I visited some of the schools in the region, especially in the whole municipality, and then we realized that two children were all in school. Most of them were in school. Same applies to the senior high school. I went to Hokodi A and B, and then the Dome basic school, EP basic schools as well. And then the two children were there playing, and we saw the headmistress and some of the teachers, about 5 of them. According to the headmistress, she said it was necessary for her to be on campus at that time to monitor or to supervise the children to make sure that they are safe. And that was the reason why she was there. So she was going to be there until the children goes home. And when I went to the other school, that's Bokoji B, I saw only one teacher who wouldn't speak to us on camera. So I spoke to some of the children. Some of them said they didn't hear about the strike. They got to school before they realized that there was strike. Some of them also said they had, but they wanted to come to school and study on their own. Some also said they didn't have money to go back to the house, so they were waiting for their taxis to pick them back. So they were going to wait until the taxi drivers get to the campus to pick them.
Right.
And one particular girl said they should, government should make sure they pay the teachers or whatever they are looking for, so they can come back to campus. Today, there are lots of activities like reading festival among 23 basic schools in the municipality. So we saw a lot of them gathered at the whole domain basic school, and also sporting activities ongoing at the whole sports stadium.
Right.
And blessed, this cuts across all over. That's the Volta region. Most of the schools in the Volta region had the head supervising the children for the first day, and some few teachers also there to help. But from tomorrow, according to them, they will not turn up if they are not told to do so.
Well, my colleague Ivy Setuji giving us the latest from the Volta region. There's a concern also about the academic calendar and the impact on the whole educational system. Joining me now via phone is Executive Director of the Africa Education Watch, Kofi Asare. Thank you, sir, for your time. What will be for you the impact of this strike, at least? We're not too clear of how long it would take, but what do you foresee being the problem, particularly looking at where we are in terms of the academic calendar?
Well, good afternoon, and good afternoon to the terrorist audience. Yes, we have a situation on our hands, but we have the assurance from the yes, the employer, and then also the union that they are ready to dialogue and find a win-win solution to the challenge. Having said that, it's important that this dialogue moves much faster and so that we don't continue to derail the academic calendar. Bear in mind that we are running an academic calendar at a pre-tertiary level, where instead of schools reopening in September, we ended up opening in January. It means we are 3 months old due to the COVID issues. And all countries, including Ghana, working to reposition our academic calendar to, if you like, factory setting. And so any activity that will further derail that progress and push us back, obviously, is an unwelcome one.
How do you feel, and what do you think would be the best approach in dealing with all of this?
Well, the best approach should have been that in February, when teachers began making math for COLA, the employer should have met them in February. That would have been the best approach. But as things stand now, it is a labor issue, and the only solution is that both parties must sit around the table and have a dialogue on the demand. Okay, that is the best approach. That is why I started by saying that we have confidence in the fact that the teachers and the employer have an undertaking to begin meeting from today and tomorrow, and we are optimistic that with the good faith exhibited by the teachers, especially, and they should be ready to call the strike once the employer, makes a commitment to meet them, and not halfway, but then to meet them as they consent of what the employer is not to deliver. But definitely there must be some consideration from both sides, both the teachers and the employer. All
right, then. Kofi Asare, I'm grateful that you've been able to join us this afternoon on The Pulse. And thanks for staying with us here on the JoyNews channel. When we return, we'll talk about flooding in the capital. Please stay. Also, it's been another rainy day in Accra. Places such as Alajo, Kaneshi, Tema, Motorway, Dansuman, North Kaneshi, as well as Mile 7, University of Ghana, and Dakuman, as well as Odoko, were flooded. Now, many have been cut off from their homes, and scores could not commute to work, as some routes have been rendered unmotorable. I visited Alajo earlier today. We'll bring you that report shortly. But my colleague also, Papa Michael Nieshale, was also around Circle. He now comes through with this report.
Ending queue of vehicles waiting their turn just to pass this section of the road. Some of these vehicles are from the Circle Transport Yard, transporting people to their various locations here. It's not been easy. I understand that at the time that it was raining as high as the knee, but now the rains, at least the floodwaters, have receded here. So this is the silt that I was referring to that washed off from this area here, not far from here, just to my side here. That's where this sand was washed off from onto the stretch of the road. So there is a depression at this point in the road, and the drivers have to take their time. This Chevrolet vehicle here is struggling to actually make it through. So smaller vehicles have to take an extra caution whilst using this stretch of the road. This is still a brass spot, and this is the aftermath of the rains that we saw. It rained for just a few hours, I want to believe, and this is exactly what we have here. Drivers, passengers have to bear at least a few more minutes in traffic in order to be able to make it across. I would have crossed if not for not trusting the sort of silt that we have here. But that's not the only effects that we have here. We have a lot of refuse left behind here. So you can see even on the highway, there's refuse there. There's refuse still left on the highway, the main highway, and then on this portion of the Accra-bound section. There's this gentleman here who's trying to clear the debris and make room for the water as well to pass. Gentlemen, are you here on your own or someone sent you?
Well, I'm on here. We were working there. We are task force here.
Task force here?
Yeah.
Working with the
station.
Which station?
The Bradsport, Mamidokun station.
Okay, so you've been asked by your authorities to come and do what is that you're doing? Okay.
Oh, actually, I came with myself because we are working here. As the thing happened, we have to even try and do it because of the car, so that we also can work, because we bring a lot of traffic there.
I mean, what do you care to come and do this?
Oh, I doesn't care about anything. Just I wanted to do it.
You wanted to do it?
Yeah.
Okay. But is this something that happens often? Do you always come and do this?
No, not all the time. Only today that has happened.
So it's just today. Do you have any idea how this is possible?
Actually, I don't even have any idea on that. I just came from my house and right now I just came. As I came here, what there was, as you can see. So we are trying to help so that the cars will just move. That's all.
I mean,
to help the nation. That's all.
I think you are doing your best. So what's your name?
I'm Bright Ahin.
Bright Ahin. Bright, thank you very much for doing the Lord's work. So Bright Ahin joining him. They are from the Bradsport Transport Yard, and they are trying to help the drivers here who have to use just this small part of the road, have to take their time, drive at a slower pace in order to pass through the silt that is sitting on the road hours after the torrential rains. It's caused an unending queue of vehicles that have been on the road for longer than usual. I see some people have decided to walk. Let me try to find out from them. What's man? Are you walking because there's no vehicle?
Oh, no. Actually, I'm going to pick a car from here.
Oh, but why didn't you pick the car from the other side?
Traffic over there, so I just want to go up there.
So you want to go up there first?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So where are you going to?
I'm going to Teshi.
Teshi?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Thank you very much. So he's going to Teshi, and he's decided to walk just this stretch of the road and find a vehicle up ahead. This is part of the new interchange that was built. Some of the residents tell me it was difficult for them at the time that it was raining. Try to get closer to some of the shops here that would have been affected by the high level of water. Just to find happen, how serious was it for them? Bossman, I hear this place it was serious when it was raining.
Very, very serious. Very serious.
And how serious? Paint the picture to me.
In fact, the gutter over there, when it got rain, it's like the gutter does not move direct. It moves direct into the Alajo gutter. But the Alajo one is too huge. In that case, if the Alajo one is overflowed, then it will block the one which is at the back here, the Asalam down here. So it doesn't allow the water to move. Then it's stagnant. Then to come back. Then it will flow from Apollo Theater and then move towards this direction. And moreover, it doesn't go. And as it is not going, it's going up like that. And that is how it is, yes.
But what's impact on you? I mean, I see that you are still trying to clean up the mess that the
You see, the last time that they do this thing, demonstration here, the people at the other end were throwing stones. You see, they threw a lot of stones into this direction to the police people, and in fact, my shop. So when you enter into my shop, you will see that there's a water from the up there.
So the stones from the demonstration has perforated your roof.
Exactly. So now I'm not part of the demonstration, so I have to use my money to do this. I just call a carpenter. You look at the number. I just call a carpenter to come and see minutes ago. Yes, to come and check it for me. Now look at what happened. I was not part of the demonstration, but they've spoiled my roofing.
So what level was the water at the time that it was raining?
Today's one, maybe we can go to the back of the house, you see the level.
But I see there's a line here. Is that where the water was?
No, it was something.
It was higher than that?
Yes. It was.
Wow.
See, if it comes up and it's settling, before you can see this dust.
Let me ask. I'm sure did it get into your house?
It didn't go into the room. Yes.
But is this new? This is the first time it's happening?
No, this is not the first time it's been happening. The last time it came, one day was worse. Serious. The last time it was very serious. It will be around this height. The last time, yes.
Personally, what are you doing about it? The meteorological service are telling us to expect more rains. I see the weather and itself changing already. What are you going to do about it?
I can't do anything about it. It is the government who's supposed to do something about it.
What do you expect them to do? This is your house.
In fact, this is Accra city, major city, and this thing is happening. You see, when they were doing the flyover, they're supposed to widen the gutters. They didn't do that. They rather close it. You see, that has caused the problem. In fact, if you want to look at the fine edifice like this, it's very nice. But I'm telling you, the architects, they are not good at all. Because if you want to do something, you consider your drainage system. You make sure the drainage system is fine. So when it rains, nothing of that sort will come.
How was it for you whilst it was raining? I see there's water in your shop.
It came in a little.
It came in? How bad was it? Is this the first time?
Oh no, last time it came in and then...
So you are used to it then?
It's not that, this problem, when they were constructing this bridge, we told the contractor that the drainage system is very poor here. So they should do the gutters. They told us the government said they shouldn't do gutters, only bridge they are coming to do. So they seal part of the gutters. Where you see now, you see the main road. When it rains, instead of the water to enter into the gutter, they've sealed those holes. So you can't get a way to enter into the gutter. Then you see the water spreading on the streets. So it's very bad. They need to come and work on it. At least we need holes, drainage systems. They have to dig holes so that to enter the gutter. Here, there's a big gutter here, but there's no way the water will enter the gutter. Okay. So where is it? So the government have to come and do something about it.
In your shop, did it destroy anything?
First time, this copy has gone off. I have to buy a new one.
How much is it?
It's around 4,500. It has gone off. It has gone off.
You have to buy a new one. Have you bought a new one?
I haven't bought it. I have to wait till the rainy season is over. Because you don't know whatever will come in again. That is a problem we have in the country. We have a lot of machines that has gone off. Even this. The same thing. But this one, it was brought to me. So once they brought it, it was 110. My brother brought it from America.
Which printer is this?
This is a copier, a printer, and then it sorts, it does everything.
Wow. These two brothers here have definitely suffered from the torrential rains here at Obra Spot. They are still counting their losses. In the face of more rains has been warned by the Ghana Meteorological Agency. Really, they are not sure what to do next. They know that the more rains, it's going to be difficult for them. His other brother has tried to fix some of the problems here in Obra Spot this is the situation. For Joy News, Michael Ashale.
And that's Michael's report for you. We'll be very shortly bringing you back to the Alajo community where there's flooding there. But let's speak now to drainage engineer on the Greater Accra Resilience and Integrated Development Project, Kojo Bedu-Kilson, who's joining us via Zoom now. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. Now, the floods are here again. It's not like we're predicting doom, but at least the reports are not too good for us. So knowing that Garrett is one of the projects that government is targeting as part of the solution, where are we now and what can you say about the progress of work? If you could kindly unmute for us. I was just asking about the status of the project and where we are now.
Yeah, okay, but before I go to, let me just give some context for today's rainfall. I'm yet to get the actual information on how much rainfall depth and how long it rained. But when you do a trend analysis, July, the first week of July is a period where we typically experience the severest floods. And actually in 1995, the 4th of July, that's the worst recorded flood in Accra. And we also have 1991, 15 July, we also had some severe flooding. So today's event could be expected for the first week of July. This is not unusual. So we commiserate with all those who have lost property in today's event. So coming back to the Garrett project, I think the last time I was in your studio, I told you we had completed the engineering designs and typically have a 6-month window between the completion of engineering design and the actual construction. And within this period, we prepare the cost estimates. Then compensation is also paid to those who will be displaced by the construction activity. So all things being equal, by the end of September, we should start work on the 3 priority activities. That's the Kaneshi First Light area, then the Circle Nima Drain, Salam Dam, then the Achimota stretch of the Odo Channel. So we are on track on that. And beyond those construction activities in the main drain, the behavioral change interventions are also ongoing. Then, in anticipation of these events, such as happened this morning, we also gave the 17 assemblies in the Odo Basin some money, which they would use to do emergency desilting works. And I think those works have been done in a number of drains in those 17 assemblies. So that's the status of work as of now.
Is there anything that is impeding the speedy nature of work? And I'm using that word advisedly, particularly as residents of Accra have always been on the lookout for a solution. Government believes Garrett will help. So the belief was that this project was going to be expedited. What's accounting for that slow pace of work?
I wouldn't say it's a slow pace of work. I mean, this is a very capital intensive project. So there's a lot of due diligence. There's a double review. The government side, that is checked. The World Bank also does is checked. Then we also send our designs to the beneficiary communities to see whether they are in favor of those designs. And currently, what I wouldn't say a delay, the issue of compensation is what may cause a bit of delay, because until we finish paying out all the compensation to those who will be displaced, we can't start the actual construction. And that is also on course. Usually people who are to be compensated tend to prefer to stay there rather than receiving compensation. So it has to be a back and forth process to convince them of the benefits of the project. But I wouldn't call that a delay. That's expected. Once somebody is going to lose his livelihood, you try to put up some resistance. But we are managing that and we are on course.
And for the design, what's now the approach towards it? How do you intend to solve that problem and bring a long-lasting solution to the challenge facing the capital?
Okay, so as I indicated last time, Garrett is focusing on the Odo Basin. And the Odo Basin can be categorized into 2 types of drainage systems. We have the primary drain. That's the main drain that starts from the coast, passing through Circle, Achimota. That's the primary drain. And Garrett is essentially doing a lot of interventions in the primary drain.
Right.
And this primary drain is joined by drains at the sites, which we call tributaries. These are much smaller drains. So sometimes the blockages in those drains doesn't allow water to flow to the main drain. So beyond the guide project, look at a holistic solution. Beyond the guide project, within the individual assemblies, we are also helping. The minor drains, the roadside drains should also be emptied so there's a continuous flow of water up to the main drain. Then that's will see the maximum benefit of the interventions we are doing. So we do our interventions, but the water that has been channeled does not reach there. Then we didn't have achieved our purpose. So we are working on the main drain. We are also trying to do some interventions on the second drains. Then there should be other interventions to make it a holistic solution.
Right. So, what I mean, in terms of the issue about compensation, is there an urgent need, just as we've seen from the directive that was coming through from the president, that all the structures along the waterways would have to be cleared?
Yes, I mean, we are working within the World Bank context. In the World Bank processes, you can't just get up and break people's houses. You first of all have to identify the sort of impact to be faced by people within the corridor. Some may lose their livelihood, some may lose their property. Then you compensate them accordingly. Yeah, so the usual practice of just going to break buildings is not what happens within the World Bank case. If you attempt that, we lose the funding. So fortunately, we have a lot of experts who have been doing that. There's been a lot of consultation. They've gone to the ground, listed those, you take an inventory of those who be affected.
Right.
The amount of compensation to be paid to each of these affected persons has also been estimated. Then we also have to check whether these will have the rights, I mean, identification cards, maybe Ghana card. We make sure that the money is going to the right people. And I think there's been no delay, that we are still on it. And hopefully we will be able to do that, and the World Bank will accept that, and we move on to the actual construction. So we are on track.
So giving the timelines, when are you able to pinpoint that? Well, at this point,
that's why I said that
able to start
usually between the engineering design and the actual construction, you look about a 6-month window. I mean, the compensation, people sometimes pop up along the line. You go to the field, somebody says, I own this kiosk. You go next time, there's another kiosk. So, but there are ways of dealing with this.
Right.
That's
but what time are you projecting?
So by the end of September, we should see some work. I think I'm looking at the Achimota Strait, that some work can begin on the Achimota Strait, because we don't have too much issue with other agencies there. The Achimota Strait, Abufu Achimota. So hopefully that should where the end of September, you should start work there. All
right then. We'll definitely be on the lookout for that. Kilson, thank you for joining us. But just before you take leave of us, just as you're targeting September, are there likely to be some changes as well to the project design and where you want to cover in terms of the drainage project?
I think for now, our focus is still the Odo Basin. If we are lucky and the project is extended, we might move to other basins. We are all hoping that to be the case. And you can look at other basins, this Malam area, the Sphinx Road area. So that's what we are hoping, that we are able to achieve a lot of good results so that the World Bank will advance more money and then move to other basins.
So is the suggestion that you're giving or putting across, giving us that impression that, well, all that has got to do with this flooding is simply about the drainage? Is that the correct impression?
We've neglected the drainage sector for many years. There's not been the necessary capital investments. Then to compound the situations are poor maintenance culture. So that has compounded the problem over the years. We are now reaping, what we sowed over the years. So that's the fundamental problem. Neglected the sector, and now with climate change issues, is now becoming a very big problem.
Given the projections that are being put across in terms of the rains that we're projecting for the season, could that also have an impact on the project and its timelines?
Well, looking at the 6-month window, that should be between May and September. In September, that's the minor rainy season. And we really don't expect a lot of rainfall. There might be an occasional rainfall, but not to the extent to delay the project. So we've delayed, but I think the time we want to start construction will be ideal for such projects.
There are issues about the political commitment aspect towards this project. How crucial will that be going forward?
Okay, so we are dealing with these assemblies within the basin. There are 17 of them. I think last week we met the MC for Kole Klote. I mean, at that level, we don't have any problem with the political. They are giving us all the support we need. So that's what I can say, because we really need those at the local government level. That's why this issue of compensation, identifying the rightful owners. And so far, all the assemblies within the priority areas, Achimota, Okaikwe North, Kole Klote, Ablekuma Central, we've had excellent cooperation from the MC and the technocrats. Anyway. So I think that's what we are good.
All right then, Kojo Kilson, I'm grateful for your time. Thanks for joining us back. It's time now to have some conversations on our environment, and let's talk about the eco-conscious citizens. That's a conservation group that is actually calling on government to review its policy that may lead eventually to a ban on single-use plastics. There's a need for us to expand that conversation. Fortunately, joining us in studio is a co-coordinator of the eco-conscious citizens, Awula Sewa. Thank you so much for your time here in studio. So here we are again. The issue of flooding is with us. We're seeing the effects on our communities. And part of the problem, you agree, has got to do with plastics.
Yes. I mean, we look at our draining system. We look at our gutters. People think they are rubbish cans, and therefore they put their rubbish there. And if you were to look at about 90%, if not more, of our refuse, it happens to be single-use plastics. So we are saying that the time has come to take robust measures and to ban single-use plastics. In fact, 3rd July was the International Day for, against plastics, right. Single-use plastics, where we're encouraging people, if you go to the supermarket, wherever you go, don't take plastic bags. Go armed with your basket, your reusable bag, whatever. There's no need to take plastic bags. So, and the whole of July is a month that we are devoting to not using plastics, because going forward, we are saying that there's no need for single-use plastics. We managed before the 70s. Plastics actually were invented in the late 60s and began to have the current use in the 70s. So what were we doing before single-use plastics came into being?
That's an interesting question. And I'm sure that a lot of people will be wondering, what's really going to be the alternative? Because almost everything we do when we buy items, they are mostly packaged in plastic materials.
Yes, it's a question of going back and rather moving forward. We've seen our drains, we've seen our open spaces. In fact, Kenya, Malawi, Rwanda, Tanzania, to name a few forward-looking countries when it comes to single-use plastics, they've banned it. And one of the reasons why Kenya did it, they looked at the flooding and they realized that the plastics were contributing towards the flooding. People are still living. All you need to do is to be a bit responsible. In your handbag, in your bag, in your car, wherever, have a tote bag, a reusable bag, a cloth bag, take it with you. So when you go to the shops, you don't need to take their plastic bags. I'm very, very sad that even that today, when you go to buy kinky, after they've put it in the leaves, they actually put plastics, banku, everything. First of all, there are health issues. The plastics are not supposed to be for very hot items. And before a few years ago, we never saw kinky in plastic bags. So we're beginning to have habits that are unhelpful and unhealthy. 20, 30 years ago, what did we do? When we're going shopping, what did we do? Let's try and think. And the good news is that there are several companies in Ghana, we don't need to import, in Ghana, that are actually making what you call reusable bags, not the bags that you just use once and then you throw away, contribute.
And help us understand the dynamics in terms of the differences, because for someone on the streets, an average person who's not too concerned about the dynamics, plastics is plastics.
Yes, plastic is plastic. Some would say ban plastics totally.
Right.
But when we say use single-use plastics, we are talking about plastics that you use just once and then you discard.
Okay.
For example, a plastic bag you use to carry your shopping. Some people will use it later on as a refuse bag, put their rubbish in it before they put it in the big container. Others will just, throw it in a gutter or what have you. You have, for example, the cling foil that people use to put the kinky or whatever. When we say single-use plastics, we are thinking of plastic that you use on only one occasion, like gloves, and then you throw them away. So we are saying that those are not particularly helpful. So, for example, we're not saying a total ban because things need to be done in perspective. But something we can do yesterday is to ban single-use plastics. When you're walking around, you see lots of woven baskets. In the north, they make beautiful baskets. This is also encouraging home industry. There's a lady I mentioned who makes bags from plantain, banana waste, and also from corn husks. There's so many people who are doing things. Let's encourage them. And let's look at our environment, look at our open spaces. Another reason why Tanzania, for instance, banned plastics is that when they were discarded and they ended up in the open spaces, the livestock that were grazing ingested them. And therefore, when you slaughtered them, they had plastics in them. The same thing is happening in Ghana with our fishes. They've ingested the plastics that we carelessly throw away that have entered our water bodies. So there's a real clear and present danger. We can't take it for granted. Also, people do burning. They burn their rubbish. They mix the plastics. And we know that when you burn plastics, harmful toxins are released. That is not helping us. And in fact, if you look at the figures, the number of deaths from air pollution is rising. We should ask ourselves why.
But then, in terms of the global movement and even the national movement, we're not getting so much support for this move for a ban on plastics because it would obviously have an impact on corporations that obviously produce these materials. How do we find a good balance then?
Well, there are different ways of operating. As I said, Kenya is a beacon. We have so many Eastern African countries, also India, other countries which have taken the lead. In the UK, for instance, they haven't banned single-use plastics. But what they have done is that when you go to the shopping mall, where in the past you got plastic bags free, you now pay for them. And because you have to pay for them, not a huge amount, consumers are quite interesting. They've now started buying what you call the bag for life, which obviously, as the name implies, lasts for a very long time. You can be replaced. It was only £1. I'm told it's now £1.50 or so. And therefore, they're not using plastic bags. So the use of plastic bags has gone down significantly since the high tax was put, which was passed down to consumers because shoppers pay for it. So there are different ways of making us see that we don't need plastic bags. And the manufacturers, I'm sure they can find something more productive to produce. But as it is now, there's a lot of conflict of interest. Some of those who should take the decisions have friends who produce plastic bags or import them, and they're not ready to make the changes now. But I think the writing is on the wall. We looked at the recent flooding, we've looked at the environment, and I think what we need to do, but I'm calling also on consumers, because if you didn't take the plastic bags, the manufacturers will realize that they're not going to manufacture an item that nobody's using. So there's consumer power. Consumers should be responsible. Have your cloth bags or jute bags or tote bags or whatever. Take them when you're going shopping and make sure you don't take plastic bags from the shops.
But give us an idea of what an individual could do, for instance, just to be eco-conscious as well. What practical measures can one just put in place to, say, reduce the dependency on this source of single-use plastics? How do you avoid it generally?
Okay, for one thing, go and buy a basket. Go and buy a jute bag or a tote bag or a cloth bag. They sell them around. First of all, go and buy them. Second of all, if for some reason you already have some in the house, you can put your rubbish in it. When you're planting trees, sometimes people nurse them in plastic bags. So one practical step you can do is to go and purchase, I should have brought some with me, go and purchase reusable bags so that you're not part of the problem, you're part of the solution. Another thing you can do is to plant trees. That's also part of taking care of the environment, purifying the environment, ensuring that our source of clean energy from the trees is increased, and then we give them our carbon dioxide. So this is one little thing we can do. Refuse to use a plastic bag. It doesn't cost you that much to either get a basket or a cloth bag, a bag that you can use on many occasions. Invest in one.
But practically speaking,
Yes.
you know that this is about attitude. And generally, most of us, I must confess as well, I'm very reliant on these sorts of plastics that you're talking about. We use them almost every day. So asking someone to go in for some of these alternatives you're talking about may be quite difficult.
But you know, I ask myself, how difficult is it really? I said about in the 70s, when you were going shopping, people like you went shopping. We didn't start going shopping today. We've been going shopping for quite a while. They managed. There were no plastic bags then. I know some of the shops gave paper bags. You took your basket with you. You were responsible. You knew you were going shopping. So you had a means of, you know, putting your shopping in, whether it was a basket or whatever. So starting from today, you have a car, make sure that your car always has these reusable bags. You're not using a car, if you have a handbag, you put it in. That's very, very practical. And also the shop should start selling what you call bags for life. So you've forgotten to take something. Oh no, I forgot this, I have to go and buy. It should be supplied in the shop. So of course, another step is getting the shops, instead of stocking plastic bags, please stock the reusable bags as well. So that is something the shops should do. But I'm saying in the chain, we're all involved, from me to those who should take the decision to ban single-use plastic.
And for instance, if you talk about, say, the delivery of food items as well, the packages and almost everything you see now is in plastics.
Okay, I mean, there's a place where I sometimes get grills from. It's called Zwen Grills. I'm very impressed with them. I mean, their packaging, you know, you don't have to use plastics. You can use different things. Then they also use a cloth bag to put it in. They don't put it in plastic bags. So I've been quite impressed with them. So, I mean, we all can take a step. If, for example, there were no plastics, we would manage. We're not going to, life won't come to an end. So it's a question of being proactive. So the challenge we are throwing is at the whole of July, and I hope after July, for the end of the world, I'm asking people listening to this wonderful program not to use plastic bags. Ghanaians or human beings are intelligent, you are creative. If plastic bags were banned today, you're not going to stop shopping. You're going to continue. So there are alternatives.
It's doable?
For them.
It's doable?
Sure. Of course it's doable. How are Kenya, Malawi, Tanzania, Rwanda, how are they managing?
And I guess that's where the issue of policy comes in.
Yes.
Some believe, well, if you make it a matter of government policy, or it comes from the top, order from above, we'll all comply and no one will use plastics again. Is this solely about policy?
Well, policy has a role to play. If today the government says that from September 2022, single-use plastics have been banned, obviously those that are already in the system, we need to recycle them. By the way, Ghana recycles only 8% of its rubbish.
Only 8%?
Yes, you can please go and just check the figures, only 8%. Even in countries like Germany, where they recycle, if my research is correct, about 60-something%, they don't recycle everything. So there's still a big gap, and that is why it's urgent to ban single-use plastic. But if the government were to, you know, place a ban today, we'll all have to fall in line or face prosecution. But I'm saying that, you know, decisions come from different levels. Consumers are more powerful than they think. You are buying the plastic bag or using them when you go to the shops. If you don't use them, why would they be produced? So although the easiest thing would be for government to ban it, in the meantime, whilst we are putting pressure on government, we are also responsible citizens, active citizens, not spectators. And we are complicit when we also use the plastic bags. Of course, all of us, I mean, it comes, we are forgotten, we need something handy. I'll put my hands up and say, I can't say I've never used single-use plastic bag. Of course, we all fall short once in a while, but we don't need to wait for the ban to take place. We can decide that from today, we're going to be responsible. We're going to make sure, ladies, put it in your handbag, gentlemen, you know, carry it somewhere, your car, whatever. And make sure you do not use plastic bags. When you're going shopping, when it's not on the spur of the moment, you've decided either have a basket, have a container, have anything. And here, remember, I'm not saying don't use any form of plastic. Like I said, single-use plastics. And I'm focusing on carrier plastic bags that we put our shoppings in. Afterwards, we just sort of discard them.
We've seen campaigns that, for instance, you've run about conserving our forests. We've seen the one you've done on the Achimota forest, for instance. So, with regard particularly to the use of plastics, are we likely to see some action on the streets, maybe asking people and urging them to change their attitude?
Well, on 3rd July, we did have some action. I mean, I personally was on the streets, you know, in my neighborhood, talking to people. And the first reaction you have is actually the whole country, let me not say the whole country. I mean, parts of the country are dirty because of plastic bags, you know, all over the place. And one thing I would say is that we have unemployment. Why don't we get task forces that walk around? If you drop something on the spot, fines and so on and so forth, you can pay them from the fine. I guarantee you that if we were to do that, the litter would be greatly reduced. People in their cars just littering left, right, center. You know, if you started making sure that they are prosecuted or just fined on the spot fines, it will stop. So I'm saying that these are the things you can do one-to-one, talking to your friends, contacts, and so on. But yes, we did do some, you know, street campaigning on 3rd July.
We need to go, but your message to our viewers, I'm sure that many of them are convinced at least on what you're saying, but what will be that final word to them, just to remind them on the use of plastics?
My final word is that we can't leave everything to government. We should all be responsible citizens. We said that plastics are, apart from making the country unsightly, when we see the plastics littered around, they are also entering the water bodies and polluting them. Our fish are ingesting them, which means that it's being passed on to us. The cattle, livestock are also ingesting them. So be responsible. Stop using plastic bags. Take a carrier bag with you or a basket when going shopping. Thank you very much.
Right, and that's Awula Sewa, founder and coordinator for the eco-conscious citizens. We're still keeping our eyes on the flooding here in the national capital, Accra. Earlier this morning, I was within the Alajo community, and this is what I found out. This is the Alajo community. It's one of the communities within the Ayasu Central Municipality which has not been spared from this morning's downpour, which has flooded several homes and in fact some schools as well within this community. Residents here are now having to deal with the flooding water and finding a way out of the situation. In fact, this compound on which I am on right now, you can see the effects are telling, and residents are definitely appealing to authorities to come to their aid as the flooding continues to devastate so many homes in this area. So you can come along with me. Let's move to some of the areas and some rooms that have been affected as a result of this morning's downpour. And I'm just taking my time as well so I don't get to fall in the flooding water. But this is a whole compound that has been filled with water after this morning's downpour. But first of all, let's engage some of the community elders who are also here, who monitored the situation when the downpour started, and for them to narrate to us what exactly happened. Let's speak to the old man here. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you for talking to JoyNews.
Good morning, welcome.
It's quite unfortunate that your compound has been filled with water, but give us a sense of when this all started.
It started this zone around about 6:30, and just 1 hour 30 minutes, see how this place is full of.
1 hour 30 minutes of rain.
Yeah.
That's when all of this happened. Talk to us about it. When did you notice the rain? Was
during the dawn time, I saw the crowd was too thick, but I just didn't. That's all. That's the end of this. So we don't know what to do.
You've been in the Alajo community for how long? Give us a
1970.
1970. What would you say about the flooding situation then in the 1970s and where we are now? We can see the story.
It's not so too much, but now because of a lot of building, the walls and that caused all these things. Because the water is not flowing as it was in the beginning, and now it's becoming worse. So it's choked. The gutters are choked. Everything. You also see in walking it. So we don't know what to say.
So this whole street where we are on now, every home has been flooded.
You try and see. On the other side, the left side, all going down. In the other side, where the main bridge is, the same thing. So we cannot do anything.
So for now, how are you having to deal with this situation that you're facing?
As you know, we cannot do until nature takes the water away.
We've been told that you've also tried to reach out to the fire service to help you drain.
You know, though the father cannot do much about this. This natural water. Suppose it's in locking the room too much, but we will fetch most of the water out of this place. So there's nothing we can do. We're just hoping God will just do something for us. That's all.
In the recent past, would you say that authorities, the municipal chief executive and the MPs, have they know about this?
Most of them know.
So have they been here to assess this?
When the things have become so much, they'll see them once and no more again.
What do they normally tell you?
Oh, they tell that they will do something about it. They will do something about it. That's all. We are not the only people. all around Accra. So whatever they do, we can say, well, let's see.
One of the older schools in the community, the New Star Preparatory School, established in 1979, has also been flooded. The school has been completely shut down, and authorities have asked all the students, about 400 of them, to return home to their parents, except for final year students who are taking their district mock examinations, which the school authorities are telling us they've been able to secure one of the classrooms for them to take that critical piece of test.
Yes, please. It started around 5 something, around 6 o'clock, and then we were all here when it started. So we didn't actually know that it will get flooded this way, but it just happened. So.
Your son, obviously, some of the students are not around, and they've been asked.
Oh, actually, some were around because the Form 3s are writing their mock. So as at that time, some were around. Some came. There was a teacher around 5:30 a.m. and some were here around 5:30 as well. So as at 6 o'clock, we were having about 15 students around when the rain started. So, in fact, when it started, it stopped for a while around 6:10, 6:20, but it came back heavily again. That time, most of the students have arrived, and then so.
So you have to close them now.
Yeah, we have to close them now. Yes, they are worried because some of them came here to find out what is going on, because some are afraid something will happen to them. So some have come for their awards, and you should.
And especially for those who are writing exams, what assurances did you give the parents?
We give them assurance that there is nothing that is going to happen to their awards, because teachers are here to take care of their awards. If in case anything happens, they are here for them.
And how are they feeling psychologically? I mean, writing an exams when right beneath you there is flooding. That must be traumatic for them, writing mock starting today.
Yeah, it's true. It's true though. But what they can do is to just learn, and then because they know they have a major exams to write ahead of them, so they have to prepare. No matter what, whether rain or shine, they have to prepare. So that's what has kept them to keep on learning and write.
For how long has this problem persisted in the area?
This it has persisted for long, because we've been crying to the government. I mean, the MPs that have come and gone from the time of ICQ, but still it is there. I think if the main gutter is being constructed, I think this whole issue will come down, because the gutter is small, it cannot contain the flood that comes from the top, and then when it comes this way, everywhere gets flooded, and it affects everywhere seriously. So we are pleading to the government, the MPs that normally comes here for campaign and those things, that they should look into this matter for us, so that this gutter will be constructed, so that we can rest as well.
Thank you. Your name again?
I'm Mary.
You work here?
Yes, please.
Thank you. And now, owners of a luxury apartment demolished to make way for the National Cathedral says all attempts since 2018 to get their compensation package from government have not been successful. Land and Estate Officer of the company Waterstone Realty, Hafiz, says the apartment is valued at $6.5 million. He says the company is heading to court on the matter. He joins us now on the via Zoom. Thank you for your time. So why have you decided to take such a move?
Hello?
Yes, why are you deciding to take, head to court over this?
Hello, please, can you...
Yes, I'm asking about your decision and why you are deciding to head to court over this.
Okay. Good afternoon to you and your listeners. As I'm speaking to you now, there has not been any official letter from Waterstone saying that we are heading to court. As I'm speaking to you now, we are at the table with our lawyers, and by the end of the day, we'll be out with a decision as to what we'll do next.
So what exactly is your next move? Yes, that meeting may not be over, but what do you sense may happen
yes, so we have made several attempts. We have written to the agencies and all the stakeholders involved in this matter. over the 4-year period, that is from 2018 to 2022. So as I am speaking to you now, if we don't get any response, we would have to seek legal redress, as you said. But as I'm speaking to you now, we have not released any official information saying that we are going to court.
In terms of the engagement with the officials, why are you not getting any response from them on the matter?
Well, with that, we have written to the Lands Commission, the Ministry of Works and Housing. We have also written to the Attorney General. In fact, that was last year, November and October, but we have not had any response from them yet. So that is what we have now. We've not had any response from them.
So what are the figures looking like in terms of what's involved, the amount and whatever it is that is due your company?
Okay, so as of 2018, in fact 2017, based on an independent valuation, the property was said to be around 4.7 million. Now looking at this number of years in between 2017 to 2022, taking all the economic factors and all the loss of income and all that had happened within the period of the acquisition, we should be looking around 6 to 7 million.
7 million Ghana cedis?
6 to 7 million US dollars.
US dollars.
Yes.
What was the initial agreement by the authorities as to how the settlement would have to be, paid to your company, and why are we now seeing a delay in terms of the payment?
Okay, so in 2018, when the government wrote to us that our property, which was located at Ridge, was supposed to be part of the properties which were going to be acquired for the National Cathedral project, we complied and we followed the processes because this is a matter of compulsory acquisition that is purely by the law. And so we complied with the law, and they wrote back to us regarding how we will be compensated, which you have to be relocated, and some other costs which you incurred, you would be compensated for that. Now, we had exchanged one or two letters, and then in 2020, we allocated a land at Ridge, which up till now, we have not had access to. So one of the basic problems we had over these years is the fact that we don't have access to the land which was actually allocated to us as part of the compensation process.
Anyway, thank you, Hafiz, for your time. And you're watching The Pulse here on the JoyNews channel. Let's bring you some more stories from other parts of the country, particularly with this report that we're getting that there's actually an easing calm at Idum Afantry in the Ejuma Koma district of the Ashanti region as a 38-year-old bar operator killed over an alleged chieftaincy dispute is demanding justice. Now, eyewitnesses say Bright Yeboah was stabbed multiple times with a knife by one Kwesi Brefo from a known faction in dispute as he tried to save his younger brother. His younger brother, Kwame Dako, who also sustained some multiple stab wounds fighting for his life at Konfanochi Teaching Hospital. Now, the Ashanti Regional Police Command in a statement says some six persons have been arrested in connection with the murder. Live FM's Emmanuel Bright Kuku visited the family of the deceased at Idum and now reports.
Wailing and emotions of sadness filled the home of Bright Yeboah. Events of the past few days that led to his death took the family by surprise. Bright Yeboah, before his death, was a pub operator. His grandfather, Atapoku, recounts circumstances that led to his death. He points to chieftaincy disputes in the town.
Papa Bako, a police ni, Unyano, we are Nyafo. And the police in the bay now, or ye second free, not tired him said the tea, and what the ma Unyano.
One of the suspects is a police officer. He is the brother of the perpetrator. He took a dagger and gave it to his brother to stab them severally. People at the scene tried preventing them, but he warded them off.
Obisi wako ho akopata de oye police ni na ono de ni jacket police jacket e ma onua na hyeye na wo sa ma ne seka no wo gina wo koso akopata no wawo wo koso akopata no wawo no.
I think the chieftaincy disputes in this community caused the death of my grandson.
Na ewo asem wo ekuremu na eyeda ya ebi bekọ ha medium ni se sa asem na so na ma wo kobo sa apo no bekun no.
So, according to eyewitness accounts, at about 8 a.m. on Sunday, Bright Yeboah, that is the deceased, found his brother stabbed at this very spot in cold blood. And it is just some few meters away from his pub. He was trying to save his brother from the perpetrators, but unfortunately was stabbed severally to death. The body of the deceased has since been deposited at the morgue, while his brother is on admission at the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital. The deceased left behind 3 children and a wife. Widow Ruth Opon is worried about the upkeep of the children.
My penny 13 years, and I kept you a deep penny in a chin, and also 10 years. Into a moment, dear, or
my eldest children are 13 and 10 years. The youngest is about 7 years. I told the youngest their dad had traveled. I am not a trader. He was the one who paid for all their fees. The Ashanti Regional Police Command has since arrested 6 persons in connection with the murder. The family is, however, calling for justice. We are only asking for justice. So, on a normal day, you'll find the deceased Bright appear sweeping around this pub and opening it for customers. And sometimes you would hear music from this area. But today, the only music you can hear from his pub is the wails from the family. For JoyNews, my name is Emmanuel Bright Kweku, Edum Afrancho.
And illegal mining continues to take lives in dangerous pits in many parts of Ghana. A new government program is helping give miners who want to quit a second shot at life. Under the new program, former miners are being trained to plant trees and to get paid for it. JoyNews' Justice Beidou went to the Pharmacy Kontom, a community in the western region where the program is now running to meet some of the miners.
These fields look green and serene. For many, this place represents hope. Hope for young men and women who used to do illegal mining.
The time that I'm doing the galamsey there is good for me. One day inside, but you will die early.
Wisdom Kuku is one of them.
I say, you will get the money. As you can see, you can go today and get, let's say, 20 million. 30 million. I get 20 million right now, but I don't know what to do with that money. I'll go enjoy it, me and my girls and the boys, and then the money will finish. I know that tomorrow I'll get more, so I'll destroy that money.
Wisdom is 24 years old now. When he first went down into a galamsey pit, he was 12 and had just dropped out of school. Today, he is one of more than 50 young people from Afamase Akotom planting trees for sale under the National Alternative Employment and Livelihood Program.
Hey, the time that the people will hear that somebody down there die, my brother, There is no galamsey work, I swear, if it's not money, galamsey work here. You for banned galamsey work for Ghana here. And that Grandfather has bring a good job for us.
The trees planted here are sold on to farmers and people who also go on to plant and help recover the green spaces that have been stripped of lands in this enclave by gold miners. The project is run by a company called Richie Plantations.
A friend of mine currently is in the morgue right now, yes.
Justice Kessie, himself a native of the area, who says he has seen many of his childhood friends die in galamsey pits, is the manager.
Looking at how our forest zones has been depleted, this is the only way it can, or one of the numerous ways it can help to revamp it. As well as our galamsey site, which has been destroyed, at least this tree covers can help to at least our climatic changes and all these things. It's out of this whole mess. I think it's a step in the right direction because it has really, it is really going to help. Maybe not now, but in the near future, our generations to come will see the impact of this whole project.
See, you know, the shade one can na abanda bano. Yasumi. Now, boy, you think so? I better to go back to galamsey.
For now, the miners are paid 700 cedis a month and fed twice a day at work. This is a paltry fraction of what they would earn if they had stayed on in the mines. But they know also that the thousands they would earn there can't buy them life if they got killed. Justice Beidu, Joy News, a pharmacy, Akotum, in the Western region.
And that's all we have for you here on The Pulse. I am Blessed Sogah. Log on to myjoyonline.com for updates. We'll take a short break. When we return, Let's Talk Showbiz will be on your screens. Please stay.